Should you scout for Arc Suit, Ethan, and Lugia? Are they any good? Guys, this is the last sync pair coming in the July 2025 update. And this is another Arc Suit. And we're not happy about having Arc Suits in the month before bait month. But this is Lugia. And this kind of is interesting. This is not one of his how do you say this? His signature partner Pokemon or something like that. I mean, N signature Pokemon Zoroark, although it's introduced kind of late in a summer alt. Leon is always with his Charizard. Steven is always known for having his Metagross. You know, everything. Cynthia Garchomp, Lance Dragonite. But Ethan, Ethan, if it's not for Pokemon Masters introducing Signasuit Ethan and Lugia, I don't think we'll associate Ethan with Lugia. In fact, we can associate Ethan with Ho-Oh. In fact, we just got that a couple of updates back. Ethan and Ho-Oh in a Variety Scout. So this kind of is a weird one for me because I don't think this is one of his signature Pokemon. But Lugia has been one of my favorite flying, legendaries ever since the beginning. When Gen 1 and Gen 2 came out, Gen 1, not really a fan of the legendary birds. But when I saw Gen 2, I saw Ho-Oh and Lugia, I fell in love with Lugia very quickly. So, Lugia is my favorite out of the 5 flying birds. Although Mewtwo is another story in terms of legendaries. But some people were asking me, what is my favorite Gen 1 Pokemon? And my answer was Lapras. Because Lapras is cool and stuff. So, just a trivia about me. But anyway, guys, enough trivia. Let's talk about this thing here. This is a flying type Arc Suit. And I'm glad that we don't have any other flying types yet because Signasuit Silver was controversial. This has an EX roll of field. And by having that EX roll field, he can bring in Flying Zone after you use your sync move for the very first time. So this comes out on July 17 and you have more than 1 month to scout for this one. As always, every single Arc Suit has a paid route, has a non-paid route. You get way more value in the paid route because by going 10 multis on the paid route, you are guaranteed 3 out of 5. If you go for the non-paid route, not only can you get completely shafted, well, the rates are the same for the paid and non-paid route, but if you get completely shafted with the non-paid route, that's 46,600 non-paid gems and just 1 copy. Meanwhile, if you get shafted with Arc Suit Ethan in the paid route, that's the same 46,600, well, 46,400, I think, or just roughly the same amount. But 3 out of 5 because they give you 2 exclusive candies in order to make your Arc Suit Ethan's move level go up 2 levels. So that's what I love about Arc Suits, but a lot of people hate Arc Suits, and DNA is just capitalizing on people who only spend gems / money on Master Fairs and Arc Suits. And that's why we are seeing a huge surge in the number of Arc Suits and Master Fairs over the last several months. So, with that, let's take a look at his kit right now. He has a pretty high special attack stat at 426 defenses. Well, special defense is higher than defense. HP stat is pretty okay. As a field EX roll, if you give him his EX roll, his defenses will go up a little bit. His speed stat will go up. His speed stat is pretty high. And overall, not too bad stats, but take a look at his passive skills. He will power up every single ally's attack and defenses the more your flying type sync pairs added to your team. That's the usual. As an Arc Suit, you give yourself a positive flying type rebuff. That means you get to receive less flying type attack damage from the opponent, and then you dish out stronger flying type damage against the opponent. You have your third passive skill, turns the field of play into an EX flying zone the first time you attack the opponent each battle. So, attack move, I'm not sure if Thunder Wave is considered an attack move. It's a status move, but I'm not sure if Shining Silver Soul, if it will change the field of play into EX Flying Zone when you use Thunder Wave. I'm hoping not, because it's a waste. So I'm hoping that you'll have to use Aeroblast at least in order to bring out that EX Flying Zone. And then, whenever you use a move, either Thunder Wave, Aeroblast, or your buddy move, you'll raise your sync move up next effect +2. That will power up your sync move by 20% damage. And then every single time you attack the opponent with an attack, again, I'm not sure Thunder Wave is included here, you will lower the opponent's special defense stat -3 ranks. Now, what are his attacks? Aeroblast, Thunder Wave, Almighty Seize, Aeroblast. This sync pair can only hit one opponent. And this is kind of sad because the original Ethan paired up with Lugia or Cygnus with Ethan can hit every single opponent using his passive skill Expand Range. And this one does not get that Expand Range treatment. So I'm kind of bummed about that one. Although, you know, he has a Field EX. So, you know, let's just continue reading. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Swirling Storm. When the user's status move is used on and inflicted a status condition on an opponent, inflicts the same status condition on all opposing sync pairs. So Thunder Wave, when you use it, will affect every single opponent. Okay. When you use Thunder Wave for the very first time, you get to raise your special attack stat to max. And then when you use Thunder Wave for the very first time, your critical hit rate will go up to max. So, that means, first things first, you want to use Thunder Wave on the opponent before anything else. And by doing that, you will not only paralyze every single opponent, you will max out your special attack stat, you will max out your critical hit rate. And then, last passive skill, Silver Wing, Soaring the Deep Sea, will lower a random stat of an opponent when it is affected by a status condition, either attack, special defense, speed, accuracy, or evasiveness. Again, you'll have to dish out or deal a status condition first. If you do not want paralysis, sleep is okay, ice or frozen, freezing, poison, burn is okay. Just inflict a status condition on the opponent and you will get to lower one random stat of the opponent every single time you hit the opponent. Aside from lowering their special defense stat -3 because of the third passive skill. And then, when you hit an opponent with a status condition, you will give yourself a free move next effect. And that's that, guys. That is that is Arc Suit Ethan. Aeroblast, 95% accuracy, 4 move gauge, hits one opponent. I hate this. Almighty Seize, Aeroblast, will only activate when your sync move up next is increased. Don't worry about this one. After you use your sync move, you will reset your sync moves up next effect. But whenever you hit the opponent, you will raise your sync moves up next effect +2 anyway, so it will activate again. But you can only use Almighty Seize Aeroblast once. And what does this do? It will become a critical hit. It will increase 50% in damage when the opponent is hit by a status condition. That's a pretty large or huge power, 500 power to 600 power. And if that's raised 50%, that is 900 base power. That's pretty good. And then it makes the opponent flinch. So pretty strong. You can only hit once, 900 base power if the opponent is paralyzed or burned or frozen or just paralysis is good. Shining Soul, endure effect to the user, and then it will raise your sync move, or rather, the higher your sync move's up next effect is, the lower your sync move countdown will be reduced to a maximum of 4 maximum. So you want to use Shining Soul probably after a couple of turns. First things first, how you use the sync pair. Use Thunder Wave first to max out your attacks or your special attack stat, max out your critical hit rate. And every single time you use Aeroblast, you get to raise your sync moves up next effect by a couple, by a couple, by a couple. The higher your sync moves up next effect is, I'm not sure how much is required. It will reduce your sync move countdown to a maximum of 4. And that's that. So this is a multi-sync pair with a field EX role. So by thinking using him, you get to bring in, you give the opponent an extra negative flying type rebuff. That means the opponent will receive more flying type damage. And then you will get to bring in Flying Zone if there is EX Flying Zone active. How do you bring in EX Flying Zone? By using Aeroblast. If there's EX Flying Zone active, you will get to extend the duration of EX Flying Zone by a little bit more. But then, as per playing with EX zones, it does not exactly last for a very long time. And that's my biggest gripe about EX terrain zones weather. But yeah, EX Flying Zone extension. And I do not know, but I think I've read some comments that say that although his attacks will only hit one opponent, his sync move is gonna hit every single opponent. I do not see anything about him being able to hit every single opponent except for Thunder Wave hitting every single opponent. No. He can only hit one opponent using his sync move and only one opponent using his attacks. And that is what I kind of am sad about, because the original Signature Ethan paired up with Ho-Oh can hit every single opponent, not only with his normal attacks, but also with his sync moves. But let's take a look at what he can offer with his Lucky Cookie as well as his Sync Grid. You got Barrel Roll 2. When it is a Flying Zone, you get to receive less damage, okay? 1 out of 5, you got Unflappable. 2 out of 5, you got Aerial Acceleration, Move Gauge Refresh with Aeroblast. Do you need that? I think you get a free move next effect every single time, so you don't need that exactly. Flying Zone HP Recovery, Natural Remedy, Shining Soul, Hit and Heal 9 if you are not paired up with Ho-Oh, the other Signasuit Silver. This is one way to give yourself a gradual healing. Shocking Slowdown, when you are attacking a paralyzed opponent, you get to lower the opponent's speed stat -1. And remember, you get to lower the opponent's special defense -3 every single time as well. Thunder Wave Move Gauge Refresh 3. Thunder Wave Super Preparation 9. I'm hoping that this will trigger every single time you use Thunder Wave. Even though the opponent is already paralyzed, you can give yourself super effective up next effect. But from what I remember, it will consider that your move will fail if the opponent is already paralyzed. So Thunder Wave Super Preparation 9 might only hit once, and I'm not too happy about that one. But if you can give yourself super effective up next every single time you use Thunder Wave, then I would love this so much, because that's a nice multiplier for us. 3 out of 5, we got first use status Pokemon move Damage Guard next. When you use Thunder Wave for the very first time, Damage Guard next effect. Use first use status move Team Special Boost up 1. Every single one of your allies will get a 40% increase in your special attack damage. Adrenaline 1, Aeroblast Staggering 4. Not only do you lower the opponent's special defense stat, not only can you lower the opponent's random stat when it is paralyzed, not only can you give yourself a free move next effect, but also you get a 50% chance of making the opponent flinch when you use Aeroblast. And I like this as well because free move next plus paralysis is nice. Debut Sync Move Boost 4 will allow you to use Almighty C's Aeroblast at the start of the battle and probably use Shining Soul immediately. And again, I'm not sure how high your Sync Move up next is gonna have to be in order to get that -4 Sync Move countdown reduction. Paralysis Synergy 3, power up your attacks when the opponent is paralyzed. Piercing Gaze, because Aeroblast is not exactly a 100% accuracy attack. And then Static Shock 9, if the opponent is paralyzed, your Sync Move will be 90% stronger. And as Arc Suits at 3 out of 5, you got a free power plus 50 tile for your Sync Move plus 2 additional power up plus 25 tiles. And as an Arc Suit, you got a 4 out of tile for free. First Sync Move, Restore Buddy Move MP1. Which again, this buddy move is really, really strong. And this buddy move, although can only hit one opponent, but that base power, if the opponent is paralyzed, and if you have him 5 out of 5, that base power goes up to 900. And that 900 base power added up to Paralysis Synergy 3 and probably some special moves up next effect. And what else do you have over here? Probably Super Preparation 9, super effective up next effect. And that EX Flying Zone will be a very, very strong buddy move. And at 5 out of 5, guys, yeah, the Flying Zone Extension 3, which I'm not sure how this will be helpful, but Flying Zone Extension plus your EX roll, of which is Field, plus EX Flying Zone might be helpful, and hopefully it will last long enough so that your EX Flying Zone will last at least, you know, until the end of the battle. Although, again, by experience, it's not really that long. I'd have to use some way to extend the Flying Zone in any way I could in order to last longer. But that is Arc Suit Ethan. Again, some comments I've seen say something about him able to hit all opponents using your Sync Move. I do not see anything about that one. Only Thunder Wave can be AoE for paralysis for every single opponent. But yeah, in fact, I'm not sure if I like the AoE paralysis, guys, because if the paralysis is not AoE, I can have my Super Preparation 9 trigger at least 3 times. And with an AoE Thunder Wave, I can only have it once. Unless the game proves me wrong, 3 times of super effective up next effect will be super helpful. And just doing it once lessens the effectiveness by a lot. But that said, first flying type Arc Suit, are you gonna scout for this Sync pair? Kind of strong, very strong buddy move. Love that he can flinch all opponents or one opponent. Yes, and his buddy move can also flinch for sure. But the original Ethan can hit everyone, and this one can only hit one. And this is like a downgrade. I don't know. What do you guys think? Anyway, scout for Ethan if you like Ethan. But meta, there's gonna be a meta all the time. So just ignore the meta. And if you want to support me, guys, coffee.com/SPLGum. Thank you to my mystery supporter. I know who you are, but you prefer to remain anonymous anyway. So I'm gonna keep it there. And thank you to all my awesome members for supporting me. Some people ask me if I am not streaming anymore. My schedule just does not allow me to. But I'm gonna stream when I find time. So, apologies, no Datamine stream. But at least you get your Datamine videos in a timely fashion. Until then, that's our video for Arc Suit Ethan. I'll see you in the next one. Rawr.